What's your idea of running? How do you run in your vehicles?
So yeah, I think maybe this is just, one of those rituals. So you enjoy the process and you feel like you've done something to have created a bond with the machine. Maybe it's just that now that we've discussed that machines today are so reliable and so well made. But there is a process that I followed earlier. So even back in college when I had the CBZ, and it just so happened at that point that I got a CBZ, and soon after another friend, pretty very close, like maybe a couple of weeks or at the most a month or so. Another friend, he got a CBZ, and we both had the same black and gold and all of that. So you just say, hey, CBZ, right? You have a CBZ, I have a CBZ, the same bike. But then one day I said, "Chal, I'll ride your bike," right? I said, "Yeah, sure." And I rode his bike, and I realized, man, that feels very different, right? And so I just asked him, "How did you run in?" And he said, "No, just what the manual said." I said, "Okay." So I said, "What did you do?" He said, "I don't know. I did something different." I said, "What did you do?" So this was, I don't know how I arrived at it, to be honest, but basically whatever the manual said was the RPM, right?
Yep.
So I stuck to that RPM. But what I would do was I would run through the gears, right? So not initially. So at the first stage, even in sixth gear, let's say fifth gear, whatever it was.
Fifth.
CBZ was five, right? Yeah, 5 gears. So CBZ was 5 gears. So whatever it was, you would stick to that. You would not push it or anything like that. Just stick to that, ride it easy, clean. So that would be the first 100 kilometers. After the first 100 kilometers, I would change tactics a bit, right? I would start going down the gears. So like, let's say I would go from 5th to 4th, right? So just let it go up the revs from the suggested max revs, just a little bit higher, and then immediately go back. So what I started doing was, what I ended up using a lot of was negative torque. So instead of using compression
Compression braking instead.
To increase the load, I used negative torque to actually put the load on the system.
Correct.
So that's how that was just the simple thing that I did, right? Yeah. So it would go from 6th to 5th. Then as you go to 300 kilometers, 400 kilometers, it would be 6th, 5th, 4th, right? And then I would start interspersing that with actually throttle use. So I would take it to, like, let's say if the max RPM recommended was 5,000 RPM, let's say, right? I would take it in second gear to 5,000, quick, right? So quick burst, but quickly up the gears again. So you're giving it very short bursts of load, right? So going from negative load to positive load, just short bursts. So it's, again, this is just like a ritual now. You think about it, right? You did it back then.
Yeah, and you don't need to do any of this anymore. Like, don't do any of this.
I still did it with my Busa when I got it, right?
And you still don't need to do it anymore.
And I think it feels very good because of that.
Yeah. So look, your involvement in the process, which what Karthik described, I think beautifully, is there is a lot of possible involvement in the process. And you can go as deep into this rabbit hole as you like. There is absolutely no reason why you should not. But will it actually make a difference to the reliability that you're going to see, to the performance that you're going to see, how long this engine will last?
I like to believe it makes a difference to the smoothness and the character of the motorcycle, giving it a certain personality which will be unique to your motorcycle.
And it will give you more things to worry about, because if you can't worry about your vehicle, are you really involved with your vehicle, right? You're not alone. I also prefer to listen to Kartikeya Singhi. And if you'd like to do that, if you head to the main MotorInc channel, there's a lot of content from him, including Disconnect, our podcast.